What's the one thing you always hear about China in Western media? Cheap, copycat, or even evil. But here's the twist. The country they love to mock just did something that left its loudest critics speechless. No long speeches, no grand announcements, just one move, executed in a few hours, that flipped the global military conversation on its head. Because what happened next wasn't just about technology, it was about power. And for the first time, the West realized that the game they've been playing for decades might no longer be theirs to win. Now, let's get into the story the world tried to ignore. It started quietly, far from the eyes of Washington or Brussels, a skirmish between India and Pakistan that barely made Western front pages. But within hours, a story began to spread across defense circles that made everyone stop and rethink what they thought they knew. Reports claim that Pakistan's Chinese-built J-10C fighters had gone head-to-head with India's pride, the French-made Rafale jets, and walked away victorious. Not once, but 4 times. Now that might not sound like much until you understand what the Rafale represents. This isn't some outdated relic. It's one of NATO's most advanced 4.5 generation fighters, loaded with next-gen radar systems, stealth coatings, and precision sensors. In training exercises, it's even simulated taking down the American F-35, the jet that's supposed to be untouchable. And yet, despite its $120 million price tag and its reputation as an air superiority king, it was outmaneuvered and outgunned by a $40 million Chinese fighter. That wasn't just a tactical loss, it was a humiliation, one that shattered years of Western narrative about Chinese low-quality tech. Because in that single encounter, something bigger happened. The world realized China wasn't copying anymore. It was competing and winning. And this was only the beginning. So how did a $40 million jet manage to embarrass one of NATO's most advanced fighters? The answer lies in a design that blends agility, efficiency, and cutting-edge electronics, a combination that few expected from China. At first glance, the J-10C looks different from the usual Western fighters. Those small wings in front, the canards, aren't just for show. They're what give the jet its cat-like agility. The design traces back to Europe's experiments with aircraft such as the Eurofighter Typhoon and Dassault Rafale, where canards were used to create lift, improve control at low speeds, and slash fuel use during tight maneuvers. China took that concept, refined it, and built it into a compact frame optimized for dogfighting. Defense analysts say the result is a machine that can turn almost instantly. Combined with its delta wing layout and digital fly-by-wire system, the J-10C can pivot, climb, and dodge with almost unnatural precision. Pilots who've trained with it describe it as a fighter that thinks faster than you do. Then there's its weapon control magic, a helmet-mounted display paired with the PL-10 short-range missile. Instead of lining up a target the old-fashioned way, a pilot can simply look toward an enemy aircraft and fire. The missile locks on from that glance, even if the target is 90 degrees off the nose. And if the missile misses, reports claim the J-10C's guidance link can reconnect mid-flight, redirecting it for a second strike. In a close-range duel, that makes escape nearly impossible. It's this look-and-shoot system that gives the jet its reputation as a dogfight nightmare. As one Western analyst put it, if you're close enough to see a J-10C, you're already too close. But the J-10C isn't just about short-range agility. What makes it truly dangerous is how it blends old-school maneuverability with next-generation electronics. Every sensor, radar return, and targeting cue is fused together on a single screen, allowing the pilot to process an entire battlefield in seconds. In modern combat, awareness is everything, and this jet sees farther and faster than most of its rivals. And that's where its real edge begins. Up close, the J-10C is lethal, but its real power begins long before an enemy ever sees it. While most people picture dogfights as swirling airshow duels, modern combat is fought at distances where pilots never even make visual contact. In that arena, the J-10C has quietly built a reputation that even seasoned analysts didn't expect. At the heart of its reach is the PL-15 long-range air-to-air missile. Armed with an active radar seeker and a two-stage solid-fuel engine, it's designed to hit targets more than 200 kilometers away. Western observers often compare it to the American AIM-120D, but some reports suggest the PL-15's range may stretch even farther. Paired with the jet's advanced ESA radar, this missile turns the J-10C from a close-in brawler into a long-range hunter. Then comes the system that ties everything together, the KG-600 electronic warfare pod. Operating across several radar bands, it can jam hostile sensors and confuse incoming missiles while still letting the pilot lock on to threats through a separate data link. In large-scale exercises, Chinese engineers demonstrated how the pod integrates with early warning aircraft to create what one analyst called a moving radar bubble. That means a J-10C formation can spot enemies hundreds of kilometers away, trade targeting data instantly, and launch attacks without ever turning on its own radar. Defense specialists describe this as data fusion. Every radar echo, satellite cue, and friendly signal merges into a single real-time picture. For the pilot, it feels less like flying a jet and more like steering a weapon network. These advances changed how strategists view China's air industry. Only a decade ago, Chinese fighters were often seen as export knockoffs. Today, many experts acknowledge that the technology gap is shrinking fast. And the rest of the world has noticed. Countries that once relied exclusively on Western suppliers have begun to look east. Pakistan already flies the J-10C as part of its frontline fleet, calling it a cornerstone of its modernization program. Egypt and Argentina have reportedly evaluated similar platforms, while Iranian media outlets have hinted, though without official confirmation, at potential interest in future purchases. The reasons go beyond politics. The J-10C offers a mix of affordability and advanced systems that smaller air forces find hard to ignore. It delivers range, speed, and firepower at roughly a third of the cost of a Western equivalent. For nations priced out of the F-16 or Rafale markets, that's a tempting offer. Meanwhile, defense circles in Europe and the United States are watching closely. Some Western analysts frame this trend as a sign of competition returning to the fighter export arena. Others call it an early warning that air-power dominance is no longer a one-sided game. Because if a mid-tier Chinese jet can already challenge legacy Western icons, what happens when Beijing's next generation, the stealthy J-20 Mighty Dragon and the upcoming J-31 Falcon Hawk, hit full production? One thing is clear. The J-10C has done more than win dogfights. It has redrawn the global map of who gets to call themselves a military innovator. And according to most analysts, this is only the beginning. For decades, the United States owned the skies. Every new American jet was an event, a declaration that no one else could catch up. But in 2025, whispers began to spread through defense circles. China isn't just catching up anymore. It's overtaking. Inside Chengdu's secretive research complexes, engineers were reportedly testing something that could rewrite modern air combat. The J-10C, already a global talking point, was said to be entering a new phase, one that merges raw thrust, advanced computing, and near AI autonomy. Western analysts have a name for it, J-10C Phase 2. Early reports suggest this next variant could feature an upgraded WS-15-derived engine, the same family powering the stealthy J-20 Mighty Dragon. If true, that would give the J-10C supercruise ability, meaning it could sustain supersonic flight without afterburners, burning less fuel and carrying more firepower. In air combat, that's not just speed, that's dominance, but it doesn't stop there. China's defense research agencies are pouring billions into AI-assisted flight systems, algorithms that learn a pilot's combat style and predict enemy maneuvers in real time. Some insiders describe it as a digital co-pilot that never blinks, never tires, and processes radar data faster than any human could. Add to that the rumored KJ-10 AESA V-2 radar, capable of identifying stealth aircraft at longer ranges through multi-band detection. If this system performs as predicted, it could potentially spot low observable aircraft, the kind Western militaries rely on to strike first and vanish. It's no wonder that, behind closed doors, analysts in Washington and Paris have started to admit something quietly. China has cracked the hardest code in modern warfare: speed, stealth, and information fusion. And yet, Beijing stays silent. There's no Hollywood rollout, no loud military parade announcing a new generation of air power. Instead, China lets its jets do the talking. So what happens next? If even half of these developments prove real, the global defense market could tilt almost overnight. Countries that once depended on United States or European aircraft are already diversifying, not because they dislike the West, but because China's technology now offers performance once thought impossible for its price. Defense observers say this could spark a new kind of arms race, not one about who has the biggest fleet, but who adapts fastest. While the United States focuses on ultra-expensive stealth platforms, China is building versatile fighters that can be produced faster, sold cheaper, and upgraded continuously. It's the smartphone model of air warfare. Constant evolution, one software update at a time. And here's the real twist. Beijing's military strategy has never been about raw aggression. It's about deterrence through technological shock, proving it can counter any threat before that threat even takes off. In other words, China's message to the world isn't, "We're coming for you." It's, "We're already here." That leaves one burning question. If the J-10C is just the mid-tier of China's aerial lineup, what happens when the next stealth generation, the rumored J-36 and J-50, finally step out of the shadows? Because if the J-10C really was just the warm-up act, the main event might redefine what air superiority even means. As the dust settles over decades of rivalry, one truth is becoming clear. The age of a single global air power is ending. What we're seeing instead is the rise of balance, a multipolar sky where technology, innovation, and speed matter more than legacy. China's J-10C is a symbol of that transformation. It isn't the biggest, flashiest, or most secretive jet in the world, but it represents something deeper. The moment China's defense industry proved it could compete head-to-head with the best. Each new report, whether confirmed or speculative, tells the same story: that China's once imitative technology has evolved into something truly independent and advanced. For the rest of the world, this marks a shift that can't be ignored. Countries now have more options, more suppliers, and more leverage in global defense deals. And that competition, between East and West, between new powers and old, might just spark the next great wave of innovation in aviation history. Still, it's worth remembering that military power isn't only about aircraft or missiles. It's about strategy, alliances, and how nations choose to use their strength. If the J-10C proves anything, it's that technology can change perceptions faster than politics ever could. The future of air combat may no longer belong to one side. It may belong to everyone willing to innovate, adapt, and challenge old assumptions. And as for who truly dominates the skies, that answer isn't written yet. It's still being tested, one flight at a time.